Now, we see full-on jungle focus right now in this first phase. We get the Sejuani, the Maokai, all right, the Aphelios joins the table too. But the Lee Sin and the Jace also banned away by LGD. Now, LGD on the red side in this first one will have that counter pick available later on in the draft, but now they're looking at their last ban, Kitty.
It's really interesting that Aphelios has been taken off by LNG. That does mean LGD maybe consider banning out the Vi here. That is going to be available for the side of Tarzan to take up, as I think Scout, with the amazing champion pool that he has, something like the LeBlanc or even the Ahri just pairs so well with such an aggressive jungler. LGD, pick the Xayah Rakan, just do it already.
It's tried and true, easy way out. On the bottom side. Yeah, I like that you say that about Scout, though, man. He's got such a unique champion pool. I believe he's over, like, almost at 16, around there, close. I'll have to do the math a little bit later.
You can't ban him out.
I'm wondering what you go for here. And right now, they're hovering a very aggressive centered support for Meteor. And, you know, I feel like there's two ways to go about it, Kitty. You can play reactively, or you can say, you know what, we're going to go big or go home. And it's the Elise that says go big or go home right now for LGD.
Nah, screw playing traditional. We're gonna get Meteor playing the Elise to just spicing everything up in that early game, which is exactly what I want from LGD. But I'm expecting Xayah and Rakan going towards the side of LGD for this 2-3, and then LNG can maybe perhaps respond with something like the Zeri, as you don't want to be versing the Zeri when you are when you have something like the Vi. But they're gonna lock in the Jinx, which is relatively interesting because I think when you do have something that is a hyper carry like the Jinx up against something that is so aggressive in that early game, it's gonna be tough getting to that scaling point, so you need appealing support to really save him or save this Jinx in the early game.
And this would be a nice little bit of a clap back, it feels like, from LNG, the Lucian Nami combo. So more aggression in the bottom side, and LP and Hung saying, can you hang with us?
I don't know, can you hang with us? I mean, sometimes you just pick the Thresh and you say, we're gonna just play 2v2 and hopefully we scale until the 30-minute side. But this Tristana is going to get hovered for Haichar. I believe both Scout and Haichar are a big fan of this Tristana, where it offers a lot, but it also offers nothing in my opinion.
Jungle, so there you go. Double 80, or I guess double marksman comp for LGD here.
Yeah, double ADC, the major objectives are going to be really easy to sneak if they ever get any vision control over those, but that does mean a lot of these supports are going to get taken off the board. Thresh and the Lulu are also going to get perhaps considered to be banned by LNG, but the LeBlanc and the Ahri are also still on the board as LGD going to target Scout for the second half of the banning phase. But
that's a pretty
we've said this before, you can't ban Scout out.
Yeah, I feel like you can take away some annoying chance, but yeah, you're never going to ban Scout out for sure. It is that Ahri that joins the table because he has been so good when he gets mobility out of mid lane to meet up with Tarzan, go into the side lanes, things like that. It is the split focus in the second phase for LNG, the Nautilus plus the Jax here. So I love the focus towards bottom side, get away one of those big primary engaged supports, but also taking away maybe a side lane threat that LGD could definitely use here. We'll see what their final decisions are going to be, as they still have that counter pick. I expect the support to be picked up here, and maybe something that is a bit safe in the Tahm Kench.
We saw this Tahm Kench getting picked twice by Top Esports, I believe, and it was the Jinx and Tahm Kench paired together in that bottom lane. Top Esports, they won the series from that, so I'm excited to see how Jinjiao is going to pilot this Tahm Kench, because one of his biggest problem is just surviving the laning phase, where he often explodes if the enemy team gets a lead through him. So it's going to be a pretty big challenge, especially up against LP and Hung when they are on something so aggressive. But the Tilly is going to get locked in for Scout. I was honestly expecting something like the Gragus, but I guess not.
The Gragus? Now we need a goose skin for Gragus, man. I just need him to be waddling around like a goose. But we do get that kind of mobile mid lane to go out and meet up with Tarzan specifically, but also Zika will be piloting that Cassante. We'll see what Xiaoshu's answer is into this. Been saving counter pick for it, but stability, setup in the team fight is definitely what I'm looking for here for LGD. Some stability on the map, that is. It is the Scion locked in.
It is going to be that Scion for Xiaoshu in the top lane, where it's Cassante vs Scion. We don't need to touch on this. We've seen this matchup probably more than 100 times throughout this year, but like you said, the main focus is going to be about that mid and jungle, where LGD, Tristana, they are prioritizing for that early game lane push, while Meteor, you need to get stuff done in that early game because LNG, once you get to those team fights and the 5v5s, Tarzan, with that ultimate ability available, it's going to be so much easier to execute.
And coming to this one, it was a big question of like, can Meteor withstand the pressure that Tarzan just puts out in the jungle passively, but especially when he's actively looking to put pressure onto you. And I think this one specifically, an interesting start to a best of 3 for Meteor. If he gets good resources, if he can actually upend Tarzan here in this first game, that sets the draft on fire for the rest of the series here. So we'll see if the bar of execution is met for LGD.
On fire, and that's exactly what we want to see in LPL, but from these ADCs getting locked in, it is the Jinx versus the Lucian, where we're getting a little bit of an Arcane repeat of perhaps a Season 2 script leak. So I'm going to be really excited to see how the early game plays out for both of these teams. But looking at LNG's composition, it's very standard, it's very front to back, where Scout can play towards these side lanes like LP, probably not towards Zika versus Xiaoshu in that top side, but getting LP ahead just means your team fight and your Lucian is going to be so potent, while we have LP on LGD. Oh my god, these names are getting scrappled together, but it's going to be really exciting because we have the Jinx and the Tom Kench, which will help her so much when it does come to that level 6 spike for Jinjiao.
Yeah, we'll see as LNG versus LGD kicks off here our 5th day of week number 10. Again, last series for both of these two orgs in the regular season at least. LGD season is already over, but they can play spoiler and show off a little bit towards the end of the split, while LNG are still fighting for that 2nd place here over EDG that face off later. And good thing we're, use a little bit of exposition time while we have pause apparently at the very start of the game. Hopefully we'll be getting into it very soon, but really a story of differing incomes, I guess, of both these two teams, I guess incoming stories for this series especially.
Yeah, and something that I've been holding in this entire champ select is I tried to take a sip out of my boba, but because I have a paper straw, I think the paper straw disintegrated and I can't drink the drink anymore. So it's just sitting in front of me, having absolutely no access at all. I don't know what to do.
That's unfortunate.
Help me.
At that point, I feel like you just take the lid, like you cut the lid. I don't know. That feels barbaric,
no.
but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Do you have like the extra straw somewhere?
I do have an extra straw. I mean, perhaps the angle, if this pause goes to like 5 minutes, I'm just gonna go yeet for a straw and we'll be back. But at least I'll have access to my delicious lychee green tea. True.
You gotta have access to that because it does sound pretty banging. I have Monster energy drink in front of me, so it's not quite the same. Not quite the same, but you know, maybe about the same level of energy. Speaking of, though, hopefully we'll be getting back in. I'll let everybody know as soon as we know what exactly is going on. But for now, we are in an early pause here. Hopefully a short one.
Yeah, hopefully we get a very short one. But talking about the draw, we are back.
I was hitting the button the whole time. Look at that.
Let's go, Mazal.
Speaking of, though, again, we set up LNG, really trying to slam home this last series. And LGD have come out with a draft that says, no, I don't want to let you do that. We'll see if that early bar of execution is set for LGD, though, as both sides starting on the opposite sides for junglers.
It does seem like that the Elise is going to be starting her own red buff, while Vi is going to do the exact same. But I need to talk about this Tristana pick because it has been getting a bit of time in the LPL where I have mixed opinions of this Tristana. Yes, it does a lot in terms of taking down towers early on, but I just feel like it falls off when you come to the 5v5. It's so hard to execute because you ideally want to be jumping forward, but you're jumping forward into a K'Sante, Talia, and Vi for this game. So Hedgehog quite literally needs to be perfect with how he plays these teamfights as the Tristana, or you're just going to have to be playing towards those side lanes.
And I do wonder, I mean, double ADC compositions are very boom or bust, right? If you do get off the ground running, if you can use the double point of power, it's really, really strong. And so that is kind of that conversation that Meteor has to bounce between these two and find those resources. Because if you don't have those resources, if you aren't ahead, it feels real bad when you're going in with two very squishy members that could just get blown out of the water with a combo.
Exactly, but at least LGD Xiaoshu, they do have the Scion for this game one, as these wards being placed by LGD doesn't spot Tarzan at all, so he's just gonna make his way to that blue buff, but
Sneaky,
we see
sneaky.
Meteor getting to his blue, and LP doesn't have the cleanse available in that bottom lane. So if LP is a little bit too aggressive, where the wave state is slightly good for him, he will need to burn the flash if Elise ever decides to make a gank towards the bottom.
Is that just a confidence play here by LP? It's just saying, you know, we go
It really
boom or
is.
bust. No cleanse against the, you know, an Elise that literally lands one cocoon and you're dead.
I mean, to be fair, that shows that LP, he really wants to win the 2v2. Oh my god,
Oh,
double
they ain't
knockup!
winning the 2v2 right now. That is a flash burned by LP.
Well, I guess Tom Kench, people forgot how to play against him as he just burns
Unbench
the
the
flash
Kench.
from LP.
Unbench the Kench.
Meteor gets spotted here as well, but it doesn't matter. Look at the wave, it's stacking towards LNG right now, and you don't have your jungler anywhere. Vi is making his way back, but it's not going to be in time.
Haichao has rocket jump as well. Can't get down here. They're roaming here. Hung and LP are like fish in a barrel. But it looks like there's somebody coming to break that barrel open. LP gets a little bit down, and Scout is able to join here. Not able to catch Meteor, though. Should lose a little bit of pressure mid lane as the back gets stopped for a moment. Back completed, though, for LPC and Jin Zhao.
I think this was just unfortunate timing from Tarzan because he didn't get to meet Meteor straight away as Meteor decided to do the blue as well, didn't decide to skip it. So it was just like 20 seconds off where it could have been a 3v3 and Tarzan would have been in time for that. But Scout needing to burn the TP does mean he is going to miss out on some of the XP and minions in that mid lane where Tristana already finding a CS lead.
It's exactly what you want to see as well. Just getting some pressure from mid lane with Haichao, because as soon as you start connecting, it's going to be really, really strong. Coming back out of the map, though, we have obviously Dragons spawning very shortly. Wonder if any team really wants to go for this early priority besides LGD really trying to find those early resources. I feel like it could be a little difficult and a little bit risky to put yourself out there like that, but we'll see. LNG actually just trying to consistently hover this bottom side of the map.
Really good war from LPC as he
Oh
does
my
smell Tarzan
goodness.
hovering around the side. That hurts a lot.
That's
and
a
he has
serrated dirk right there.
Serrated dirk? Or is it serrated? Oh my god. Do you
Both.
say Shaco or Shaco?
So I heard it's like taco. So Shaco?
Oh no, you're one of the Shaco guys?
Is that you judging me now? Is this you judging
I'm
me live on
judging you.
broadcast?
I'm judging.
Teach me, then why is it Shaco?
Riot
have a reason?
developers decided to name it Shaco, I
okay.
guess.
Well, then there you go.
At
I've
least
been
we're never
proved
gonna
wrong.
get a Shaco.
Yeah, no, that's probably not going to happen. Although it would be hilarious. Not going to happen just yet. We'll save those long, in-depth conversations about naming for that one. But now we do actually see Meteor coming down to finish out clearing the bottom side of the map. Do you expect them to try to get a little bit of priority bot side to get this dragon under tow for them early stacking?
You really need the Lucian and Nami ahead for this team composition to work, but we see a lot of trading happening for Zuka.
If he didn't pop that unstoppable onslaught, he was going to die.
Yeah, he has to back with no health and no mana, but he is just going to safely TP back as this ward is going to sweat out Meteor. But like I said, this Lucian and Nami really needs to get ahead for LNG's team composition to work, specifically LP on the Lucian. But I believe in the LPL, we had like a phase where teams just kept falling in for this bait pick, in my opinion. Since all the meta ADCs are so long range, Lucian really struggles to 100-0 them, especially with the overheal and BT build being so viable as a first purchase for a lot of these AD carries.
Well, we do say in the LPL, Lucian scales with skill. We'll see if that comes to fruition here for LNG. They're definitely relying on that one. But LGD relying on their stacking game as they get their first dragon of the game here, using that priority from mid, from bot with that double ADC composition. Nicely done.
Looks like LGD has a lot of control over this bottom side, and that's exactly what you want competing against LNG for these major objectives, as Tarzan a little bit behind in tempo where he isn't doing as much, but he is going to hit level 6 after a few more camps, and that's where LNG's composition gets really deadly because Scout, he has that Weaver's Wall available as well.
Yeah, once they get level 6s, you can obviously get a lot of movement from mid lane, but it's also a lot of lockdown. All you need is one cease and desist, and you have enough burst on your team to take that member out. And so the conversation is LPC or Hangzhou, which one is going to get caught out. We'll see if they actually do stop back here. LPC getting that ignite used on him. We'll have to burn that flash and heal and the exhaust by Jin Zhao.
It does look like LBC is forced to back here and lose out on a wave. But Tarzan, he has finally hit 6 after getting his red buff. And we already see Scout and Tarzan moving towards his bottom side. So I'm going to be really scared as we don't have a flash on this Jinx available anymore. Rest in peace, Jinx. I'm just going to say it now.
It's not looking too good. We'll see if anybody wants to go ahead and reset and go back towards the top side of the map here. Something I haven't seen as much of recently is that kind of immediate swap. We do see the back coming through for Jin Zhao and Hung with the Rift Herald on top of the map and maybe a little bit of priority from lanes given from LGD. I expect them to try to circle back and get that one. But again, early objective stacking for either of these sides, if you can get a little bit of gold, and especially for Tarzan, getting a Rift Herald on the map somewhere is going to be huge.
Yep, and like you said, this Herald being available on the map, we aren't going to see both supports rotating because I think both ADCs just need their support so dear much.
They're so needy, Kitty.
You're so needy. ADC mains are so needy, but doesn't matter. As we have Giga Chad jungle mains just gonna pod towards that Herald and most likely play for it, since Herald just provides so much gold when you do have something like the Tristana on your team. But we need to say that when the Tristana has something like the Berserker Greaves and also the, I guess, lifesteal item, compared to the Lucidity and Tier Talia, she is going to do tons of damage when it comes to the 2v2.
See a little bit of trade back and forth here in the mid lane. There's actually a plate going over to Hangzhou. That's 2 of them already. Nicely done. But now Tarzan be looking to bounce in between these lanes here, as there actually was a lot of focus from Meteor down bot side yet again. Spotted out by some good ward coverage from LNG, which actually has been saving their skin a little bit this game already. You see Xiaoshu trying to dissuade Zika from doing some proxy farming.
Oh, we have the 2v2.
Cocoon connects. There's the connection. It's Scout getting low. First blood to LGD. There's a cease and desist from Tarzan, but the notice has gone unwarranted. And LGD strike first.
That's really nice stuff for this Tristana, getting that first blood into his pockets as well, and also getting this wave in. Does mean Scout is going to miss out on an entire wave, and now he's also down a first blood goal. But this is exactly what we want from a Tristana pick, getting ahead early and having that lane party and linking up so well with your jungler. Really great stuff from the early game of LGD.
You literally just have to connect one Cocoon. Meteor just has to walk around playing a mini game of can I hit the webby web onto the enemy. And there you go. It works out the first time it works. And I especially want to see that continue here. Again, that's that bar of execution LGD are going to need to continue hitting. But it starts well by getting gold for this mid lane to continue bouncing off of. And we'll look at this. Not a sight to see for Scout.
Yeah, he just doesn't spot Meteor walking towards his mid lane, and the Cocoon was perfect where Scout burns the flash, but it doesn't matter too much as Tristana has had so much damage. And with the repel, Tarzan isn't even able to get a return kill. But something that's getting really worrying for the side of LNG is that we saw Jinx burning that flash earlier, but there's not a lot of action coming out of the side of this team composition where Scout is getting consistently pushed in by Tristana.
Let's see, flash from LP, nice bait out against Jin Zhao, and now Jin Zhao, some fried fish here for LNG as Tarzan gets on the board.
Your release isn't here yet. Play it slower, Jin Zhao, but unfortunately he thought his jungler was a lot closer, and he did not notice Tarzan seeking into the bush, and that is going to be a kill into the Vi's hands. So it's not going to be too terrible, but he is going to pick up that Black Cleaver. Maybe it is really terrible, Mizel.
We'll see if it works out for him, because now it's perfect timing. He's completed that item spike, going back out on the map to potentially contest a second dragon here that LGD could be going to stack for. We'll see if that does come out as the way to go, because we still haven't had much focus on this Rift Herald just yet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you are playing something like the Tahm Kench for this Game 1, Mazel, we nailed down how Jin Zhao, he struggles the most when it comes to laning, and you don't need to be playing so aggressive as the Tahm Kench, especially not knowing where the enemy jungle was on the map. And all you have to do is go even, but giving that kill over is going to just do so much for LNG to come back in terms of tempo. But Hangzhou, having that lane party is going to rotate first.
All right, we obviously see nobody cares about the purple monsters on the Rift. It's all about the winged ones, and now they're coming on LNG here. Big damage, but a save from Jin Zhao. That was actually so big, but nice little seismic toss there is going to be big from Scout. We'll see if they can get the damage down. Everybody's out of cooldowns right now. Nobody can kill anybody.
No one's dead?
No, everybody ran out of cooldowns. They're all just slapping each other like slap fights going on here. The craziest our game LPL. What the heck?
That is so sad because LGD, they just need one kill for this Jinx to pop off, but they just didn't have enough damage from how early on this game was.
The Black Cleaver was not enough.
The Black Cleaver wasn't enough. I mean, having kills on a Vi, it's nice, but it's not ideal. As we're going to see this replay again, the Cocoon lands onto the support of LNG, but they just didn't have enough damage to finish him off. As we also received a heal onto the Nami from Scout. And this was just a 3v4.
That's so big.
Yeah, and there's just not enough damage as Scout was out of mana for this fight as well. So everyone just gets away with 1 HP.
Scout literally made the difference there. Like switching over to that heal with the spellbook, that is so clutch. And really, really heads up play from Scout on this new team at LNG, obviously trying to make a name for himself. He definitely has in this spring split already, being a huge piece to the LNG puzzle.
Yeah, I have been loving Scout's performance in this spring split of LPL, but this game one, Hangzhou came in prepared with the Tristana pick, so Scout is suffering a little bit when it comes to the early game. As LNG is going to secure the second dragon, which is an ocean, so it's going to help a little bit when it comes to their trading.
Oh, look at that. They are able to tie up the early stacking here. They actually want to go for some more kills. Jin Zhao gets stopped by the bubble, and you never thought you'd see Catfish die to a water bubble, but there you go.
It's not high jump, but there's a flash.
There's the connection of the Cocoon too. LP, maybe he gets out though. Flash from LPC doesn't have the distance here, but he finally gets the kill, and he gets excited for his own right. It is chaos here across the Dragon Pit, as now we're 2-2 between LNG and LGD.
Look, I know that Jin Zhao is playing the Catfish in this game, but I didn't expect something like the Seafood to be absolute bait for LPC to just get a kill 1-for-1 trade, which is going to be onto the Lucians. So this Jinx is now very happy with how the game state is. He really wants this wave pushed in though, because he does not want a frozen wave up against LNG with that flash not being available. But Hung is gonna get that freeze. Not really. Oh,
tried to. I expect the back to come through here for LPC because that Gale Force did get completed for LP. So at least you have a little bit of Iron Spike. Maybe they can capitalize on this as the back is going to be completed. LP almost gets caught in transition, but nice heads up play from him there to know that there could be trouble waiting for him. As there's some sneaky spiders in the bushes. Tarzan using this opportunity for the bot side play of LGD to take the Rift Herald.
Yeah, now this Jinx is going to be so well off in terms of that gold department. Another wave into his pockets as well. That is going to get traded by the Herald, as Tarzan has already pretty much completed it. We see Lucian already rotating towards that mid lane, but we said that LGD getting this Jinx pick, if it gets ahead, well, it's going to be so much more value compared to a Lucian pick where you needed that early game advantage.
He really did, and while we kind of meme about the LPL Lucian scaling with skill, I think we've seen a bit of a drop-off in that. Now it is about executing, obviously. Now they have their one-item spikes. It's where you get this huge damage potential from the Lucian Nami combo, but it's about LNG using that. You can see they're already pressing up. They're trying to pressure as much as possible against LGD.
I love Hung. He plays Nami like it's a melee support, and he's just roaming with Tarzan. All this vision and topside. That's how they do it, and that's why LNG is currently tied for second, but unfortunately that sweeper was just gonna put all the ward that Hung has placed on the map.
What wins? Oh, Meteor wins the fight. Got the chicky nuggies. The spider is hungrier than the human, I guess. I don't know. You're hungry? Well, you know, you should get you something to eat. But speaking of eating, I think we finally see the item spikes, at least first item spikes coming across the board. But for me, it's the double Kraken Slayer right now for LGD on Hangzhou and LPC, where we were saying, can LP and Hung utilize that power spike here? I'm wondering if we do get a kind of uptick in momentum from LPC and Hangzhou here as well.
I love this Kraken purchase from LPC on the Jinx because you already have so much protective ability from the Tahm Kench. It really isn't required to buy Gale Force. You just want to Giga Chat and Ego everything and try your best to toss out as much damage before getting caught out or before getting killed. But those resets are going to be so potent for LNG to deal with because they're relatively squishy outside of Zuka.
Now this Rift Herald's got to be going in mid lane. That's why Tarzan's hovering around here. Does go ahead and drop it here. We'll see if LPC and Jin Zhao can respond. Meteor is here as well. Charge should go through. They're going to try to get as much damage on the tower as possible. But LP, again, without that range, really can't afford to step up. The charge goes through, but the tower doesn't fall.
It is a relatively quiet early game from both teams where this Elise is going to get weaker and weaker as the game goes on unless Meteor lands some really nasty cocoons onto the enemy team. But double Kraken, all these team fights is definitely going to hurt a lot.
Wow. See, this is what we were talking about. Nice little gobble up there, but is it enough? Jin Zhao getting burned down. Nice cease and assist onto the backline onto Meteor. And LNG are picking apart the fight, pulling Meteor's legs out from him one by one. And Hangzhou falls under tower. LNG have scooped up LGD's lead and thrown it right back at him.
It was so good for the first 10 minutes, Mazel, and this 4-0 trade destroys LGD's hard work of how they had a gold lead on this Jinx, but one misstep from LPC is gonna make it a 6-2 score, and it was gonna look
Hung
at the
just
replay.
goes, let's go.
Hung just initiates everything on this Nami, doesn't even land it, but his bubbles this game have been on point. Gets the time pinch first, and I believe he lands another one.
That actually is so good. The cease and desist through the ground makes them pushed apart and get stunned as well. The bubble!
I love good Nami mains. I can appreciate a good Nami, and Hung has been certified from the council.
We're right back on the carousel here. Xiaoshu is pretty tanky already, though, as now it's front and center for LNG's Dragon Take here. LGD trying to put up a fight, saying we cannot give up any more resources.
Yeah, we're seeing the weakness of LGD's composition where in the end it is just the difference between a Tristana and Talia and what they offer in these team compositions. It's really hard for LGD to walk forward.
Side away.
Ultimate.
Dragon does go down to Meteor, but afterwards it's a front to back that LGD want to get out of. The all-out from Zika does need to make him get away, though. Tarzan a little bit low. They're dealing with the zombie Scion right now. He's doing so much damage. And now LNG find themselves on the wrong side of the tracks, though. LGD should retreat to their tower down here as the calling coming through. The Weaver's Wall used by Scout stopped up a little bit, though. Try to flash, try to get something, but can't do it. The cocoon connects. As now LNG should back off of this one, trying to scoop out everything they can.
Look, LGD got the second dragon into their pockets, but LNG playing these team fights so perfectly where they know resets mean everything for this Jinx and Tristana, and they weren't able to pick up a singular kill. 1-for-0 trade. And now we see this composition really struggling in these 5v5s.
They're trying to bait out Hangzhou here as much as they can with LP waiting in the wings. But what a swing of gold, I'll just say. LGD were working on like a 2k gold lead, a little bit, probably a little bit less than that. But to come back and now have like a 2k gold lead for LNG after that one fight, really good use of resources. And we'll take a look back at what exactly happened in front of the Dragon Pit.
The double Kraken Slayer just melts this as the Elise secures her with her smite, but when LNG is focusing on the 5v5 and Zuka doesn't die here, I think the Jinx was missed, unfortunately. One reset.
I think it hit Tarzan.
It hit Tarzan, but it wasn't onto Zuka, and no resets for this Jinx just means this fight is so hard to win as LNG Scout putting out so much zoning ability, and also LP playing extremely aggressively on this Lucian as he is online now with that RFC.
Hey, we were talking so much about LPC, like, oh, you got the range, you got the Jinx, you're so hyped, like, it's gonna be great. LP said, hey, guys, shut up. I'm carrying here. I am the ABC right now. And he's working on his third item spike. This guy, an LNG purely developmental piece. And it's about coming into his own here in this split here for LNG and finding that damage center profile for them as maybe trying to find Xiaoshu. Weaver's Wall coming across. He's going deep for it. He's going long for the Hail Mary on the Jin Zhao. And LPC falls too. LP striking to the heart of LGD.
And Jin Zhao once again not having the best performance on this Tahm Kench. It just doesn't really suit the identity of Jin Zhao as you always want to be playing so passively as that Tahm Kench, but Elise gets caught out.
Oh, beautiful time bubble from Hung as well on the end of the repel. Scout picks up a third kill, and this is Barrett to LNG, while a mid-tower, outer tower at least, falls to Hangzhou. Get another outer tower responded to by LNG as well.
I like how this game exploded from 18 minutes. Within 4 minutes, this game had went from even to now 5-1s, 3-1s across the board, 4 bounties for LNG, and also a Baron in their pockets now.
Yeah, check the 0 to 60 speed.
But Jin Jiao is separated from the rest of the team, as that Tom Kench, you need to be sitting behind the carries so you can save your Jinx. But when you're in front of the carries without that flash available, you're going to be dying first, and your ADC is going to be shortly following. But Meteor gets spotted out by Zuka, as they do know the Elise was around the side. Yeah, they need to get rid of this Elise. They are taking no chances for a Baron flip. That's really well played from LNG.
And that is the premise here so far, it feels like, of this game. We were asking a lot of questions when we saw LGD bring out a very aggressive comp with the double ADCs, trying to find something that maybe works against LNG. And early game, it looked like they were, pumping along. It looked decent. And then there was the couple mess ups, the couple overextensions that LNG capitalized on. And that is why they are one of our best teams here in the LPL, because you overstep 1 inch, they take a mile.
I mean, to be fair, I think Hung on this Nami, he's been landing every single bubble onto the enemy team. So it's pretty insane, as LGD, they made one misstep on the Jinx and it was all over for them, as we see LNG playing this 1-3-1 composition with this Baron buff available as well. No one's facing off Zuka, so they're gonna get a lot of towers from this one Baron.
Yeah, another one going down in mid lane. Should be bottom lane falling as well very shortly. There you go. Not able to make some work onto the inhib towers just yet. Don't want to overextend too much. Actually, maybe even trying to find out Hangzhou, but looks like a renewed push in mid lane to set up for the Dragon.
Look, LNG doesn't want this Dragon. They want to end the game in the next 2 minutes. They're looking for a 5-0 sweep, and they are up to the game 2. Really early night, as LNG, they are not messing around with these leads that they've generated in the early game. But wow, I mean, LNG, we thought they were struggling in that early game, but all it took was one throw from LGD to come back.
Can I just say also, though, that 100% KP for the bottom side of LNG. Honestly impressive for LP and Hung. We'll see Mega Death Rocket blocked by Hung. We'll find it just yet. But really, really cohesive stuff from LNG. And that's something we came into the draft talking about, is really that trio of Tarzan, Scout, and Hung, and playing around LP. And we saw exactly that, right? A lot of focus from Meteor down bottom side. They were unable to find anything. Tarzan kept visiting, kept making sure they were doing just fine. And speaking of, had gotten even advantages for his own right. So I think we're seeing that strength that LNG were supposed to bring to the table on full display now. And a TP from Zika down behind an award in the mid lane. Try to find something. But LGD, a little bit of a head on a swivel moment. We'll make it out.
We have no outer towers for both mid lane and bottom. Oh, you're dead, buddy.
Ooh, nice little flash. Oh, the Weaver's wall. Here goes Scout. And a couple rocks to the back of the head. Hangzhou's down. Should be a continued engage. Cease and assist. Knocked back there on a Meteor. Tries to get out, but the real fight is under tower here as Meteor falls to the flash of Tarzan. Here comes Xiaoshu back into the team. Tries to use unstoppable onslaught, but can't do it. The Mega Death Rocket does nothing. It's just a puff of smoke here as LPC can't even get one back. And LGD fall to pieces in front of the might of LNG.
And I thought I was joking about the 5-0, but I guess I can predict the future, because that's exactly what LNG did, taking the Dragon and now finishing the game at 26 minutes for LP on this solution, looking so potent for this game 1.
What a game 1 for LNG. Gave them a little bit of room to breathe in the first 18 minutes, but after that, it was strictly business. And LNG come out with a 1-0 in this best of 3. And looking at those game scores, we said it is also important to smash out this best of for LNG to finish at that second place if they can over EDG. And that's a great, strong performance to start that off.
Yep, LNG taking no precautions when you're up against a team that is out of the run for playoffs, but